So, I'm going to speak about mindfulness and a little bit using the Swedish translation as the point of view, since it is translated as conscious presence. And to me, that is very clear and wise. Mindfulness, as a word, of course, is not at all the equivalent of the original word in Pali, sati, which means to remember what is origin. So, to be present and aware, to me seems to be like a road to liberation, and in itself liberating. So much of our time is spent in, can we say, resistance to what is, denial about what is, exaggeration of what is. So it is like coming back to the bare experience, present with whatever is arising in the moment. And as well being aware of what is arising in the moment. And these two concepts are like a yin and yang, or like a sacred marriage between two different aspects that makes up a whole, or that creates something that is very real, something that is authentically true, or at least has the potential for that. So I often think of mindfulness as meditation brought into another light, into more activity perhaps. It doesn't have to be more active, but it's not necessary to be in meditation, in stillness, being quiet for mindfulness. You can be in movement, and you can be making sounds, you can talk. So in meditation I find that it's very beneficial that this letting go into pure beingness has both the aspect of relaxation and alertness. You're resting and you're awake. And much the same applies to mindfulness. There is this balance in our translation, presence and consciousness, conscious presence. So being present and being aware at the same time, and not making the priority of one over the other, but having a balance. If we are only aware, not that it is possible to be just one aspect, but when we're leaning towards being more aware, this can be beneficial in itself. However, there can be the tendency to become more identified with the mind, or being too detached to be not entirely in touch with our humanness. So being aware at the cost of being present is perhaps not dangerous, but it can lead to a danger of becoming too much in the head, too much that kind of mind, at the cost of being in touch with the heart. And so that awareness is not being informed by the entirety of our being and not by our heart. So it can be very bright, insightful, intelligent to a certain limit. And it can also diverge into becoming not so grounded, not aligned with the deep, not intimate with the human, and unfortunately not necessarily wise. So of course we need this awareness, and there are times when we need to really be much more focused in that specific aspect. However, to be present and to be close to be in touch with, also has its dangers. When we are only in that presence, it can be a very enlivening and an experience of oneness that in itself is very fulfilling. However, if we not only, but if we lean towards having that as a preference, we may be overly depending on our experiences. And the experiences may easily become exaggerated. Same way as the thoughts might be exaggerated, but the feelings may be exaggerated, and the experiences, what is present in the here and now, may be too much that which we rest upon. And they are not so reliable to rest upon. And easily that can lead to an identification with the experience and our conditioned reactions to the variety of experiences. And then we may be losing perspective, losing balance, and losing the clarity around the experience. So one is not better than the other, and one is not higher, more advanced, deeper, more mature. To be fully in touch with the experience is, however, very important not to be shying away from, because it will inform us of what is present for us in the here and now. And when we're able to be fully in touch, without resistance and without the clinging and rejecting, being aware of any experience as transitory. It will help us to stay grounded. It will help us to be balanced in our response, and to also be informed by it through experiencing it, a direct experience, and being aware of it, which brings a spaciousness to it, much needed in the area of our experiences, which tend to become our reality. They tend to create our world in the moment and moment by moment. So to be in that wonderful balance of open and free, to both be present with and aware of whatever arises as an experience in the moment. It's very liberating. And it brings intimacy with the whole of our being, and it brings clarity around that which is transitory. And because it's transitory does not mean to say, oh, it's just an illusion. Don't touch it, let it go. It's not like that. It simply tells us it will change. It also brings us life, intimacy with life. And when we are aware that it is transitory, we also come to appreciate the uniqueness of each and every moment. So, mindfulness brings us a wonderful vehicle. It's not really a vehicle, it is that as well. It is something very natural for a human being to be in touch with, to be present with, and to be aware of, to be conscious. But to be aware of it as a vehicle brings us a unsurpassed opportunity to trust that we can live in the present moment without resisting. Because through our own exploration and experience, meaning we gather life experience, we will find that the experiences, they come to us as gifts, as presents in the present. And even when we have this rather natural or human inclination to prefer, we will find that there is a wisdom to the variety of experiences and all the insights we can draw from the experience, all the energy, the vitality, the life, as well as the consciousness, the guidance, the wisdom it can bring us. Every little part of life is ingredients in the life elixir that we drink. And it's all playing a particular role for our growth, for our awakening, for our wisdom, for our insights, for our love, compassion, kindness, generosity, humbleness. The experiences makes us human, and it's a very important aspect. Awareness is particular, very particular for the human being. And it makes us aware of the limitations as well as the unlimited. The time, the space, the timeless. So, there is much to explore and reflect upon in this field called mindfulness.